Well, first, give credit to Washington. I thought they obviously came in, executed their game plan, offense, defense, special teams, did some good stuff. Disappointed for our football team, our fans. Did a lot of preparation during the bye week and this past week to get to a better result than what we see today. But I always go back to right before we can expect to win a game, you got to stop from losing it. And we did enough things, self-inflicted wounds today, offense, defensively, a little bit in the kicking game that took away from our success. And it's my job as a head coach to get that corrected, identify it, find the answers to it, and especially a little bit frustrating when it's some of our older players, guys that have experienced what we expect here. So really, really big week in front of us. Obviously, Big Ten schedule to be at home in Memorial Stadium and have that going in our favor should be a positive. We got to get ourselves healthy. I know a couple guys got banged up today. I think the guys did a good job of being resilient, trying to get back out there. I like the fight of our offense, especially in the second half. We're moving along, had a good manageable third down. We were kind of in a four down mode, and get the big penalty there that took away from anything, and then to come out of that with an interception, just very, very uncharacteristic of our offense and what they do. But again, that was forced by an unforced error for us with a big penalty. So frustrated with the defense, especially obviously a 3rd and 20 to, when we're kind of getting together there and feel like we could put ourselves in a good position and can't get off the field or can't make them exchange the ball right to a punt or field goal, whatever was going to play out there. But extremely disappointed. But the week ahead is going to be a big one that I know I'll be excited for. I know our players will be excited for, and got to get the right guys on the field to do the right thing. So with that, open up for questions. I don't know anything about any injuries with the guys' the way they finished.
Right. 5 Big Ten games and giving up 40 points a game. I know some of those points are very difficult, but what do you need to be defensively? What do you want to be defensively?
Yeah, I think a little bit of early down, but again, it just seems like every one of these games we go to a third and very manageable call, and we just can't come up with it. And that's something that I've talked about the protections, talked about the coverages. I think we got to play to our players' strengths probably a little bit better, but take away what they do well. I think in the first quarter, we obviously talked a lot about this quarterback, and in the very first or second play, he takes off on a huge scramble, and just you have to stop them from doing the things they do well, and that was goal number one. We knew the whole offense ran through number two, and unfortunately, we weren't able to curtail that.
We've talked about some of those third downs for weeks and weeks. So why hasn't that been able to be fixed?
Yeah, obviously I haven't given them the right answers. We'll sit down and evaluate. I think the part that we have to understand, if we're playing zone coverage, then we have to be able to understand where those holes are, and because they're finding them. And then when we played man coverage, when our eyes are away from the quarterback, to not be able to get him down when he took off on a scramble was very frustrating, especially for 20 yards.
How do you guide Aaron through this?
Yeah. If I have to get more involved, I will. I think the part that I really struggle with is sometimes it seems like we fix one thing and something else shows up. I do know we cut a guy loose there at the end on the last drive there where we got within striking distance and they marched it down. We had I think a very manageable 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, and that's when they caught number 12 over the middle there, and he was just running scot free. And then I heard on the headset I wasn't able to watch play yet. We just cut a guy loose, like we were running man free, and the guy that was covering him just stopped covering him, and it's just inexcusable. And something that we got to figure out why that happened, and then obviously find out the answers of if he can't do it, then we got to find somebody else who can.
Obviously, didn't want to let Devon Williams get loose, but was there a point in this game where it felt like he needed to at least maybe try to up the pressure on him just to make it a little more difficult for him?
Yeah, I think we saw some teams that had brought a lot of pressure, and the result was some big plays away from it. I know that they had several running back screens and some screen game that had hurt some teams in the pressure package, but I don't know if the pressure was the right answer there. Just more of being able to execute the plan that it was, and we bottom line. There was one there. It was a 3rd and 3, and we talked all week. I talked about it last night that 3rd and 3 they're going to throw to the sticks, and boom, they threw to the sticks, right? And we were there on a catch tackle, but we can't allow that throw to happen.
Right, I know you've never done it since you've been here. One of the answers was you call the defense. Would you consider doing that?
I do so many things. I just have never really done that. I'm heavily involved offense, defense, special teams. I understand why the question gets asked, but Aaron's done a good job in other times, right? Obviously, we're hitting a struggle. I think we have to make a really good evaluation of what we're asking the guys that are out there to do, right? Like you can't ask guys that aren't there, the guys that are filling in for some of those guys at injured positions, if they can't execute what that guy did, then we got to find out what these guys that we do have can do.
How would you just evaluate Aaron right now? I mean,
well, anytime you're giving up 40 points a game, it's not good, right? So I think a lot of it, has to do with what we do on early downs to make sure that third down's a little bit more manageable. But again, those third and longs, like we just can't give up. We just can't. Well, it just gave us first down. I mean, it can't happen, and that's probably going to be my main point of emphasis this week is find out what Rutgers does on third downs and try to give as much assistance in that game plan as humanly possible.
Coach, there was an extended conversation with the officials like right before, right after the Colin Dixon touchdown, I think. Do you recall what that conversation was about?
No, couple long conversations with a couple that I don't know that one for sure.
You've mentioned a couple times this season about looking at what you're asking your players to do. Like, what's that conversation like with your coaches then? It seems like you're still kind of looking at that.
Yeah. Well, I thought if you go back to the 2 games prior to this, USC and Ohio State, I thought, Purdue was in there obviously, but in particular against 2 opponents that I thought were really good football teams that we really played a little bit better on defense. We still gave up some points, obviously, in the Ohio State game, but they got put in some really bad spots, and I just thought we tackled really well. We took away some of the things they did. I thought Washington here in the middle of the second quarter, they kind of went away from the running game and we're going strictly, into the passing game. And we definitely have to do a better job of stopping the intermediate routes. And then I think the big thing for us, in the second half was just like we would do some things offensively, get a couple points on the board, and we just couldn't stop them on defense. And that was the difference in the game.
Bret, how do you get your team to refocus after loss?
Yeah, it's going to hurt. They put a lot into this. We put a huge emphasis on the bye week. Got a little bit of jump on Washington towards the end of last week and Sunday, and thought our guys came out here with a good attitude, good demeanor. I think they expected to win. That's one of our major points is not just to talk about it, but expect it. And I think there's enough good guys in that locker room and good character, high character guys to lead these guys through a really difficult moment. We talked about before this game, to get a W today, we need everybody working together, and that's probably more now coming out of this game than ever before, right? We don't need anybody standing around pointing fingers, especially me. I need to be better at the expectation of what I expect our guys to do, and find out the answers. If we can't give them, then I got to find those answers out.
One more after. You said if you need to be more involved defensively, you will be over the next couple of days. How do you make the determination to either get involved and to what degree?
Well, I'm always involved. I think what he asked me was if I'm going to call it, right? And I just there's so many things that go on in my daily journal. I know there's some guys that can do that, but I think that gives a little bit of mixed messages to players, right? Like so, I don't think that's the answer, but I definitely can put ourselves under the radar on everything that we're asking those guys to do.
And Bret, you've always wanted to sub. Obviously, when the offense subs, do you need to shorten the bench or shorten the rotation a little bit?
We really didn't sub all that much today. We sub under, like if they're under 20, that's when we would kind of do our slow subs. But they were doing that in plenty of time today. There were a couple of times when we went out there. I got frustrated. There was one time where I thought the call went into the bench and we didn't get a substitution. But for the most part, I don't think that was the issue, is being failure to get off the field on third down and from us on defensive standpoint. And then like just right before the end of the half, right, that was a scheme run against man, right? They ran a quick flare pass and then the back block for a second and ran the wheel route, and he was uncontested in the boundary. So and then the last touchdown there, when they got in a real tight a bunch, the 3 tight end set, and the tight end just took a jab step, came out. They obviously knew what coverage we're in and how to expose it. So those things are the things that we got to take care of coaching wise, right? If a guy stops covering a guy on third down, that's player related, but schematically related. We got to make sure we're asking our guys that that they understand what we're asking them to do and how to execute it.
Thank you, guys.
Yes.